Good morning, Africa, and welcome to the African Youth Conference 2020. We are glad to have you at this Wednesday, 23rd December morning session of the conference. We are grateful to have Mr. Nkoro E. Nkoro from Nigeria, who will be our conference speaker today. We have also noticed the arrival in the studios of Jim Yaovi Adoku, I'm sure from Benin Republic. And as we continue this conversation today, we have a chance to do what we must do. Before we bring in our speakers today, let us introduce you to welcome you formally to the program. And by introducing you to why we are here.
Hello everyone. You are all welcome to the Africa Youth Conference. We would be discussing about the African leadership question, problems and prospects.
Can we hear the statement of the problem?
The African continent and the African people are currently in the deepest part of a quagmire from the effects of colonialism, continual exploitation, intentional degradation, corruption, ineptitude, nepotism and a blinding brainless ruling class. As a young man myself, I am 64 years of age now. People who promised my generation, the youth back then, that we are the leaders of tomorrow are still ruling in Africa and producing nothing but ruination for the greatest continent made by God on this earth.
The rising generation/youth of Africa, having been beguiled by the text of being the leaders of tomorrow, never learned that tomorrow never comes.
The dominant feeling is that we do not have leaders in Africa. The kindest ways to refer to those who are sitting over the fortunes of Africa are as rulers. Personally, I see those in power in Africa at present, with the exception of Mr. Paul Kagame of Rwanda, as agents of ruin bent on destroying the continent, with the connivance of foreign business and political interests, through the suppression of the youth and all voices of dissent.
From Uganda to Cote d'Ivoire, to Nigeria to Cameroon, with Nigeria being the worst case scenario, we have deadwoods and old men in their 80s and 90s ruling as presidents and senators. Some of these people started ruling from the age of 28 years of age and are now in their 90s and still ruining the continent.
Being totally disconnected to the needs of the future of the continent, represented by the young people of Africa, they have ensured that the educational system is either faulty or does not work at all, with universities opening for only a quarter of the time they are supposed to be open each year.
African rulers, like witches, are happy to kill their young ones. In Nigeria, the Nigeria police force and the military delight in unlawful and extrajudicial killing of their young ones, under guises that does not in any way warrant the use of water cannon for dispersing the people. The #EndSARS protest in Nigeria was murderously quelled by live bullets, reportedly killing over 70 youths.
Our program?
We, at the African Town Hall Online Television, believe that the problem of Africa is leadership. In line with our main objective of helping the rising generations of Africa to speak out, and let their voice be heard, with a view to changing the current detrimental narrative, we have created the African leadership question, problems and prospects.
Wonderful. This program, the African leadership question, problems and prospects, is set up to bring the rising generations together to seek to understand the problem of leadership in Africa and to consider the prospects for the desired change. With us in the studio to discuss this topic are rising generations persons from all over Africa. In this month, December 2020, we would assemble every Wednesday, first at 11 a.m. in the morning and then at 9 p.m. Nigerian time to discuss this issue. It is hoped that before the end of December 2020, more than 100 African youth have been able to share their opinion on this matter. At the end, we would articulate a communiqué that would be read on the last day of our meeting. We invite all African youth to come and participate, both from our studios and from comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, to provide direction for the African youth both in the continent and in the diaspora, a way forward for the renaissance of the African continent.
So, join us. And stay tuned, and keep participating.
Well, viewers, we invite you to participate by leaving comments, show us that you're here. We already have a few people who have indicated that they are here. We have Abdul from Uganda, and there's also a Facebook user. He or she probably joined through a group. When you join through a group, we want you to give permission for your name to be displayed. Now, when you make your comment, please introduce yourself and the country you are coming from in that same place. We are so very grateful to have you. We have seen so many people already appear in this conference, and that excites us. We will be listening to a man that I know have a lot of wisdom and a lot of ideas, and also is dedicated to personal development, both of himself and all the people around him in Africa. We are grateful to have Nkoro to speak to us today. In a short while, he will be in the studios and will take over this rostrum and speak to Africa, and thereafter take your questions. We want you to participate more by showing you are here with comments, questions, and then like and love this broadcast. This will help to give wings to what we are doing and expand it. Facebook uses what we call algorithms and demographics. So when you make a lot of comments, they use it to connect more people to this program because we want awareness on what is going on. Mr. Nkoro will address us today, and following his address, we'll be expecting some questions from you, which he will respond to, or your own comments for and against what he has spoken, so that he also will have time to discuss that further. We also have people like Tulane Muhoto from South Africa who is showing up in the studios as time warrants, but he is built for the evening session today. But as time warrants, he can also come up here to ask questions and do what he must do. Thank you very much, Africa. Welcome to this session of the conference, Wednesday, 23rd December 2020. It is now my honor and pleasure to bring forward Mr. Nkoro Nkoro from Nigeria to address the conference. Mr. Nkoro, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Meribe, Francis Meribe. It's my pleasure, and I must be grateful and thankful for this opportunity to share my thought and the concern that we have in Africa. One of those concerns has to do with leadership. Leadership has different dimensions, the way we look at it. Leadership has different meaning, like I said, different dimensions, depending on how you actually look at it. There are different definitions to leadership. One of those definitions, in terms of business, has to do with having business acumen, like setting vision or achieving goals for a company. Now, there are other ideology that seems to look at leadership as both a research area and a practical skill, encompassing the ability of an individual, group, or organization to lead, influence, or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organization. Could also have other views looking at leadership as has nothing to do with seniority or one's position in the hierarchy of a company or in an organization. So many people talk about leadership in terms of hierarchy, but others see it in a different way. Now, leadership itself, as you could see it, also has nothing to do with has to do with doing the right thing, setting the direction, build an inspiring vision, and create something new. Now, there are so many of them I could mention, but I've also come to realize that in leadership, there are two dimensions where we look at it. We could look at it in the way of the leader himself. You could also look at it in the way of those who are being governed. Okay, leadership in Africa has been a problem because I tend to see it as most of the problem didn't. I think 60 to 70% of the problem you have in leadership are being caused by those who are being governed, not really the leader themselves. One will begin to ask, why am I trying to bring this idea of this way I'm saying, you know, in Africa, I see those who are being governed as they see leaders as their gods. Okay, but it doesn't supposed to be that way. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible that I'm always being reminded, and that is a very powerful statement. And it is in 2 Timothy, which is said that the Lord has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. There are three things here involved. Okay, the Lord has given us power. That's one. The Lord has given us love by dying for us, giving us the opportunity that we also can be like Him. And this is an example of leadership. Then, thirdly, talked about the Lord has given us a sound mind. And when you talk about sound mind, it has to do with all the books, materials, documents that are on our disposal. But then at the same time, when you talk about all these materials at our disposal, it's another problem again on how we filter to get exactly what we want to do with those materials. But if you can make wise use of those materials, those documents, it makes us become more wiser because He has told us that He has given us sound mind. You can become sound when you don't have access to document and spend time to study them and become what you want to become. Now, I'm talking about the side of those who are being governed, where most times we cause problem to our leadership in the country and in Africa. Now, youth themselves have a major role to play when it comes to leadership. Now, so many problems are there in leadership, especially in Africa, the context that we are. Now, some of them, the few I could like to share with us are in regards to, like I said before, that the youth themselves contribute to leadership problem. For instance, you could have somebody who is in a position of authority because he felt is in a position of authority and he makes a comment. To some of us, we want to think that that comment is true without necessarily sitting down to digest, to analyze the comment that this person has made. That's the problem we are having as youth in our society today, especially in Africa. When someone makes a comment, we don't find time to find out why did this person make this statement? What was in his mind? What's his intention that he make this comment? We just accept their statement. And most times, those statements that we always accept or their policy turns out later on to become our problem today. For instance, let me take example like Olusegun, whom everybody believes that is a Nobel laureate awardee. Now, with that itself makes people to think that whatever he says is truth and final. But that is not the case. That is not the case. The case is when people make comment, sorry about that. When people make comment, okay, we have the right, we have the power which has been given unto us. We have the sound mind to question those their thought, to question their ideology, to question their policies in regards to issues that regards to our own country, to our own continent. Now, when we begin to accept whatever they say without minding the implications of all their comments or their policy, it becomes a problem to us because we as the youth have a greater responsibility to contribute to leadership in Africa. Now, secondly, education is another problem to leadership in Africa. Now, there is a section of the country where some elites totally will always want those who are less privileged to become more uneducated. Why? Because now I remember a statement written by somebody that says that the amount of knowledge you will have will determine the amount of freedom you're going to get. Okay. Now, the more you have knowledge, the more you become more free to decide what you want. But when you don't have that knowledge, you become scared, become afraid of whatever it is, and become so dependent on people who want you to do a particular thing, even if that thing is right or wrong. You want to do, you don't want to care. Now, education has posed a serious problem to leadership in Africa. Now, like I said earlier on, it's a section of a group of people in the country who will always want people who are less privileged not to go to school because they realize that when they go to school and get liberated, they will know their right and they will know their wrong or their left. And so even you as a person want to tell them to do the wrong thing, they will say no. And so this set of people does not at any point of time want this group of people to go to school. Now, if our leaders in the country or in African continent who want to invest hugely in the educational sector, I think leadership in Africa would go a long way, even to compete with other climes. Now, we've also seen where in Africa, where the government do not invest much in education. It takes education as the least priority to them. Now, education itself is a project, it's a long-term goal, it's a long-term project, okay? But most times, even we, the youth ourselves, always want quick results. It's not always done that way. Now, it's always good for us to go into education to have a long-term goal. It's something that can take like 5 to 10 years before you can achieve what you want. So we, the youth in Africa, should not always be dependent on quick goals or quick results. It will never always give us what we want. Because at the end of the day, it poses serious problem in our leadership, because the same people you're training, the same people you want to educate are the same people tomorrow become leaders. Okay. And secondly, or thirdly, also, we have leaders whom they felt they should keep on being on power because of sentiment, because of tribal affiliation. They're so nepotic that they feel that it's their right. They don't think of a collective belongings to each other. I think it's the right time for us, the youth in Africa, to rise up to defend our rights, to defend our country, to defend our continent. I think the last recent NSAS protest has also given us a clue to know that the youth themselves have the power to change the paradigm in our continent. And that, I think, that's just an iceberg of what the youth can do in Africa. Okay. Um, One other thing also that causes a leadership problem in Africa is poverty. And it's also being caused by the leaders' imposition, because they know that poverty is a tool, is a weapon to weaken even the youth and even the citizens in the continent. And they keep on feeling that when they allow people to be poor, they become beggars, they become dependent, and because they don't have any choice, we want to be dependent on them. We don't have to be dependent on our leaders. They have their roles to play. We also have our roles to play. And that's why we have to talk about the rule of law, separation of powers. Each of us, both the youth, both those who are being governed and those who govern us, have their different roles to play. And so when it comes to our own role to play, they should allow us play our own role. They shouldn't allow us to be dependent on them, because we keep on depending on them. They keep on using us for whatever they want. Now, one of the major instances that pose issues to leadership in Africa is corruption. Okay, it's corruption. I thought before now, like in those days where we have military ruling our country, we clamor for democracy. We seek for this democracy, thinking that democracy will actually be a way that will give us the room for us, even the youth and the citizens, to also have a voice. But we've come to realize that even the democracy that we have today in the world, even in Africa, it still has element of dictatorship, element of military rule in them. And so when this happens, it creates that room for corruption, because they think they are right. They think in whatever they do, they are always right. And so even we, the youth, when we try to make our voices to be heard, they look for ways to block us. Corruption is a very big issue to leadership in Africa. If we could tackle that, I think it will go a long way to help our leadership in our continent. Now, another major issues to leadership in Africa is about the world powers. Now, the world powers, because of their interest in Africa, in one way or the other, looking at the economies, looking at the benefit they want to gain from the continent, they try to cause serious issues in the country. And because most of the youth seem not to understand international politics, most times they're just being taken away. And so we, the youth of Africa, we need to stand our ground, get to understand more about what is international politics. get to understand what the world powers is, what they stand to gain in Africa. And because they want to gain in Africa, they want to do everything possible to cause distractions, to cause leadership problems to our leaders. And some of our leaders who do not care, who have not gone to school, always have this problem. Most of the leaders we have in our continent today are people probably are not well educated. And because they're not well educated, they're being blinded by the truth, by the good qualities of a leader that's supposed to emanate from them. They're always being dependent on those world powers. I think there's a time for Africa to stand up, to defend their right, to know that we have all the qualities that it takes to become like them. At some point before now, I saw a country in Africa becoming like a world power. But over a time, because of the threat that was being posed to these world powers, they, they look for everything to see that they destroyed that progress. But I'm sure there's a second chance for us, for Africa to rise up, to defend themselves, to rise up. There's nothing we don't have in Africa. Sorry, there's nothing that the Western world do not have that we don't have in Africa. But the problem we have in Africa is our leadership. If we could lead with example, if we could lead with love, if we could lead with oneness, if we could lead with a sound mind, I know definitely Africa could stand as one of the world powers you could think of. Before now, it was America that was a world power, but you could see that it's actually drifting from that angle. You could have a different continent becoming the world power. I think very soon, Africa can also become that world power. But first of all, we must invest in education. We must invest heavily in education. We must invest in research. We must become practical in what we do in Africa. We must involve the youth in our leadership. When this are being done, I know definitely Africa will rise up. I also know that when we remove personal interest, in Africa, like I said, or in our country, each person that comes to government to govern always think of himself first. But that's a very big problem that posed to us. We shouldn't think of our own self first because we've been elected to govern people from different sectors. We have different region, we have different religion. So if you're being elected, bring these people together. Don't think because you're a Christian, you only focus on the Christian alone. No, you shouldn't think because you're a Muslim, you think of the Muslim alone. You shouldn't think because you're Hinduism, you only think of these people alone. No, bring all of us together. Let's become one. And by the time we become one, I know leadership will not be a problem in Africa. Now, another issue also, like I said before, which this has to do with us, the youth, is that when things happen to us, that is not the problem. But our ability to respond to that problem becomes the problem themselves. Sometimes when our leaders do things, it is in our place as people to stand to evaluate what they have imposed on us. What policy, what directions are they doing? We have the right. We don't think because, is the leader that is doing this particular thing, that should just accept it. No, we have the right to evaluate what they have said to us, what they have imposed on us. If we don't stand up as the youth in Africa, we'll keep on having problems in Africa. I also know that too much trust and dependence is being embedded to our leaders. Now, we should not be too dependent on our leaders for our safety, for our comfort, for our well-being, for our economy. Each of us has our different roles to play. We have talent that has been given unto us. Let's use those talent to build ourselves. Let us not depend on the government alone to provide us all the things that we need. No. I also remember that um, there's a statement being made by somebody that said that when you build a nation, the people will in turn destroy that nation. But when you build people, or when you build human being, the human being will in turn build the community or the nation. What does that mean? It goes to tell us that human development is a key to leadership in our continent. Let us invest in human development, in human capacity. By the time we build human capacity and their development, it will also help to build the community. Most of us, the youth, most times always want to depend on the fact that we have elected our leaders. They should build roads, they should build these infrastructures, they should build this. We've gone past that level, that stage, that we should depend on our government or our leaders to focus on building infrastructure. No, even if they are building infrastructure, let us also focus on building human capacity. We need to hold our leaders accountable. They should spend more on human capacity, but because by the time they build more, they spend more on human capacity. Even though I know that it's a long-term goal, it would help us a long way in our leadership problem in Africa. I know definitely with all that I've shared with us today, the fear of I know that there are so many of them. We also talk about our good governance in our continent. Our leaders are not doing us well. Seriously, we could see our leaders who rise up to tell us lies, and we believe in them. We don't sit down to find out why did they make this comment. What they said, is it actually true? There are three things involved in information. When a statement is made, or when information is being disseminated to us, first of all, we need to find out. After finding out, we need to analyze those information to know what is the intention of these people. Why did they brought up this information to us? And the next thing is we need to act on them. We need to verify them. What they are saying, is it something that will help us? Is it something that will help the continent? Is it something that will help our country? Is it something that will help us as a oneness, not just as a set of people? Okay. Now, another problem also to our leadership is the gap between the rich and the poor. And the rich or the leaders whom, because they become leaders, they are disposed to wealth. And they keep on making sure that that gap is widened the more. And when that gap is widened the more and make the poor become more poorer, they become so dependent, they become so porous that whatever they tell them, they believe in them. But I also believe one thing: no matter how you push people to the wall, when they get to a point, they will rise up to defend themselves. I want to tell us, the youth of Africa, this is a time for us to rise up, to defend ourselves, to know that we also have those good qualities. Leadership doesn't have anything to do with seniority. A child of 10 years can become a leader. If you have the ability to lead people, to influence them for good, you're a leader. It doesn't matter until you're up to around 60, 50 years or 80 years, I think you can become a leader. Of course, sometimes we could also say that leadership also has to do with experience, but at the same time, there are those who can learn leadership, who are also being born with them. Someone can start from 5 years to become a leader. Even 2 years, a child can become a leader. You can lead others to become better in life. He becomes a leader. So you should not think that it's only those who are matured, who are old, that can become leaders, can become good leaders. No. Let's invest ourselves in education. Another thing also I want us to tell us, those in Africa, especially the youth, is the fact that most youth today, I know that from 18 years and above, you're supposed to be dependent on yourself. Even if you're still with your parent, think what you can do to defend yourself. Because when you still dependent on your parent to fend for you, to pay for your school fee in school, they control you. They control what you become in life. But when you start in time, earlier in life, to start thinking of what you want to become in life, it prepares you for a leadership position in future. And so, you know, when things happen to us, we don't have the ability to learn things around us. It's for instance, if someone has a wound, okay, and somebody who doesn't have a wound, for that person who has a wound, you have the opportunity to start going to different hospitals, different places. You have the opportunity to start asking different people of different options for you to heal that wound. And while you're doing that, you're learning different ways on how to heal that wound. And the process of learning those different ways of healing that wound, you're learning leadership traits. And to somebody who doesn't have a wound, will not learn anything because you're going to be in a state of a vacuum. Okay. Now, so when you have a wound, it gives you room to learn different things. And so, in other words, let us should start learning from our childhood to learn different things. When we are being exposed to challenges in life, we should accept it as a way of we learning even leadership trait. Okay. Now, our lives are not. I'm trying to. Um, our life is not built on a vacuum. There's something that is always in our mind at a particular point of time. And so in our life growth, it should always depend on a positive side of experience that happened to us. When things happen to us, we should only filter the positive aspect of it and make use of them. And by the time you make use of them, it prepares you for the future. Let's start now, the youth of Africa, to learn how to become leaders in our society. I know definitely with all that I've shared with us today, we can become better people. You can upset the leaders of today. We're told in our growing years that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but up to today, we're still seeing ourselves still becoming that youth. Even when we are grown, we're still being subject to becoming less important in society. You can't become important in society when you don't make yourself available. You cannot become available when you start learning from your growing years. I've said, let's spend time, let's spend in our education. Even if our parents do not sponsor us in school, in our education, education doesn't have to do with just going to university. There are different things that can involve education. The skill that you learn is education. To travel to places is also education. There are different things that involve education. It's not just going to school alone. So you can learn different things in our environment and make use of them to make us better leaders in our society today. I definitely know that with things that I've shared with us, let's shun corruption. We can also fight corruption. Corruption comes from us, not from our leaders. It can start from you. It can start from you. Definitely can start from you. Courage is not when you're just the only one person being faced with challenges and you think because you're just the only one, you want to follow them. No. I've had series of experience where I'm being confronted, where I needed to test my faith, I needed to test my courage, I needed to test my confidence in what I know to be true. You can always stand for the right, no matter what it is. There's something I've come to understand in life. When you know the truth, stand for the truth. It is that truth that will make you become a good leader tomorrow. If you know that things are right that you're supposed to do them. Even when you're faced, even at the point when you're being a gun is being pointed at you, stand for that truth. Don't be afraid, because the same people that laugh at you, the same of your friends that try to influence you for bad and you stand for good, the same people tomorrow, when they start looking for leaders, they will mention your name. But when you follow them, when they are trying to lure you to doing those bad things, they'll be the first people that will kick you out of it. I know definitely when we stand for the truth, and for the right. When we keep standard as youth in Africa, we will help to build our continent. Of this, I know, and I leave this with each and every one of you, and I encourage the youth of Africa to go out there to defend their rights, to know that they have a role to play in their country. Learn to seek for the constitution of your country. Read books, be exposed to the materials that are disposed to you. If you don't read them, you cannot become a leader. Don't depend on people to keep on telling what you want to hear. No. Make use of the materials that have been exposed to you. Like I said earlier on, the Lord has given us the spirit of love, the spirit of power, and the spirit of a sound mind. It is given to us, it's just there flowing, but it's just left for us to drag them down. The only way for us to drag it down depends on how we make use of these opportunities that have been given to us. Let's make wise use of them. Thank you so much. And I know that the youth of Africa can rise up. Let's take the leap from the example of the NSAS protest that just happened. If not, it was being hijacked by the hoodlums. I know that definitely something would have happened that would have been more better than this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is awesome. And I see that many of your peers, many Africans come on stream and viewed what you have just said. This is wonderful. We'll develop this a little bit further in a moment. Before then, let's do a minute commercial break and take a message from our sponsors. And right after that, we will take some questions that I have and some of the comments that have been left by viewers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We would like to introduce you to Graceworth Nigeria Limited. Graceworth Nigeria Limited is a Nigerian-owned and operated company using seasoned and accomplished professionals to execute complex security missions in conjunction with the host government to mitigate risk on behalf of our clients. Our team members have decades of experience in the security sector, bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience that not all security companies are able to offer. The success of the company is based on our unrivaled ability to build and maintain successful partnerships with our customers to provide professional and reliable security services. We pride ourselves on providing highly trained personnel experienced in dealing with the most complex of security issues. Since our formation, we have gained a reputation as a highly experienced company with a young, energetic and forward-thinking management team, offering the highest level of professionalism. We offer the following services. 1. Security awareness and training. 2. Program support and consultancy. 3. Risk assessment and investigations. 4. Executive protection and travel management. You can contact us on +234 807 227 2799 or 0702 525 4858, or visit our office at 14 Buchanan Crescent, off Amanucano Crescent, West 2, Abuja, Nigeria. We would be glad to have you. Graceworth. Leave your worries with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nkoro. This is has been an awesome discussion, and you have made some very vital statements, and I'd like to take you up on some of them. After we discuss a little bit, I'll pull up some of one or two comments that I have seen from among those who we are viewing. The first thing I want to take with you is you made a comment, and if you didn't make that comment today, I would have played a video to that effect. So no need for that video because you covered it. What I want is for you to help us a little bit further on that, and that is concerning the complicity of followers and especially the youth to the leadership problem we have in Africa. Can you throw more light in this? Because sometimes when some people hear something in passing in a speech, they may not take it down as it should, but when it is rephrased in a discussion like this, it will drive that point home. I want you to revisit the complicity or the contribution of the youth and the followers to the problem of leadership in Africa. And then you made some suggestions too on the way out. We would like you to either rephrase or add additional suggestions on how people can get out of that nonsense, because it is enough that we are suffering from what leaders are doing, but it is terrible that our own hand is among the two hands oppressing us. So what do you have to add to that in expanding that viewpoint?
All right, thank you so much for refreshing that. I'm very grateful. Um, like I said before, the gap between the leaders and those being governed is a problem to us and to those who are actually following those leaders. Most followers or the youth sometimes just follow their leaders blindly without actually understanding what the leaders are actually doing. And that's the problem. It's actually posing a problem to our continent. We need to have our leaders being accountable for whatever they do. And so it doesn't mean that whatever they do or say or want us to know, or whatever policy they try to do, we should just accept it like that. No, we have our own right to find out why are they doing those things. Okay, there are several instances in our continent where
Yeah. Hello.
um,
It's okay.
yes, yeah, without minding the lives of the citizens in the continent, they just do it just to for their own selfish interest, selfish gain. I think um, our leaders should more or less focus on love, more or less to think of oneness. They should not always think of on one side of it. Okay, now the followership, like I says it, because followership is dependent on those who are leading us, and so whatever kind of leaders that we have would tell us the kind of followers that we're going to have. I think we should go out of that paradigm. We should shift out from that perspective. Let's be the kind of followers as they are governing us, as they are leading us. We have the right to question them. We have a right to know what they are doing. We've had series of problems in our country today, even in our continent today, that people just follow people just blindly. And it's only when things have happened, you begin to realize, oh, if I knew, I wouldn't have, but already something has happened. So we shouldn't always allow things to happen to us first, but rather I should be proactive. Now, like I said, when you talk about um, proactiveness or stimulus, okay, there are a lot of things that happen to us in our life. Oh, sorry about that. There are a lot of things that happen to us in our life. We are all being influenced by our society, but that itself does not mean that whatever happens around us will influence us. We have the power to decide what we want. We are to act, and we are not to be acted upon. All the while, we have always been acted upon by stimulus around us. What do I mean by that? Now, whatever influence, whatever leadership um, um, influence that our leaders are imposed on us, we tend to accept them. No, it shouldn't be so. Rather, we should we should act on those policies and standards they have created to govern us. We shouldn't
Okay,
just accept them.
hold on there. I need to ask you a question that need to bring up more from where you're driving at. Yeah, we are in a country like Nigeria, where I know of Nigeria, I know of Cameroon, I know of Cote d'Ivoire, and many of these other dictatorship all around Africa, even in Uganda. If you question authority, it can mean death. How should followers deal with that kind of situation? Because now we are trying to help the followers know that they have a responsibility to what is happening. But how do they do with the evident danger to their lives that emanates from leaders when they are questioned?
Okay. One of them, when you're educated, when you have knowledge, you become free. It might sound somehow funny. The amount of knowledge you will have will determine the amount of freedom, no matter what a dictator can do to us. Okay. Now, so that means that when you spend money to educate yourself, you become more enlightened. You know how to tackle these people. You don't tackle them as a layman. You tackle them as people who are matured in mind, as people who are matured in handling situations. And then, two, when we become one, when all of us come together and become one, nothing can happen to us, even if you face those dictatorships. In Nigeria, you are facing that dictatorship. But example has shown to us through the NSAS, where everybody came together. There was no leader. And so they find it very difficult to actually pick a particular person to use to penetrate the NSAS protest. It took them a long while for them to penetrate, but even at that, our voice was able to be heard. And so if all of us come together and stand as one with one voice, we can break that yoke. We can actually
Okay.
break that yoke.
Okay, I get it. There's a clear point here, which is sounding out very loud and clear from your speech and your responses. It is that the people need to know that the actual sovereignty and power lies with them. Even
Yes.
whatever we cry about leadership in Africa today, if the people who are led do nothing, then nothing will change. And I
Yes.
like the idea that education liberates the mind. The fear of death that all of us have. Here is how I analyze fear of death. And I have written an article about that in the past. I said that Nigerians are dead people who are afraid of being killed. I didn't say afraid of dying. I mean afraid of being killed. Somebody is dead already, and you're afraid of being killed. If we are conscious of the fact that of the evident danger that the Nigerian government poses to the people, or the one of Ivory Coast or Cameroon or Uganda, all those people that don't want the young people to rise. If we are conscious of what they are doing by education, then we will know that they are wrong and they can be stopped. So I agree with you that increasing our own self awareness is called personal development. And actually, that kind of education, like you said, doesn't come from 4 walls of a university. The university is a beautiful thing to do. Everybody who can should try to get a university education. But the mind of man can be educated by studying the world, reading the books that are already there. So I think that is a great point you have made in that place that everyone should note. And I'm so glad that we're able to have this conversation. So there's a comment from one of our viewers. I'd like you to uh, say something about. He made a very beautiful comment. When I pull it up, I'll see if we also have a question in it. But then I think you need to see that comment. This is from Abdul. Abdul is viewing from Uganda, and he said, "Thank you, Mr. Nkoro, for the wonderful insights, especially about education. However, this is the education system that was designed to put the African mind down. It is high time we rely less on the education system and make more research of our own. The internet provides much more information than we can consume." I think that's a very supportive statement, and I would like you
Yeah.
to share some thoughts on it if you could.
Yes, yes, that is very, very true. That is very, very true. I actually make use of the internet as to be one of my tools. Most of the things I've learned today, most of the knowledge I've gained today, I didn't actually gain them from university. Most times people have always wondered, where do I learn? Where have I gained most of the knowledge and skill that I have today? And somehow I've been a threat to so many people, even in my workplaces or even the society I find myself. I've been a very big threat. Seriously, and I've noticed that severally. I remember some few weeks ago, about a month ago, we were told that I should present in my organization, I should present our CVs and our qualification. So by the time I begin to put my two BSc my diploma, my professional certification, and all those things, my boss was discussing one other person and said, "Are you sure?" By the time they asked him now, he bring those certificates. It became a threat to them. Okay, now education itself or the internet that we have is a very good resources to us. Like I said, there's so many information that have been posited there. But it's a different thing again on our own part as a person. When you go into the internet, what are we filtering out from? We shouldn't allow the enormous information that are there to distract us. And these are one of the ways in which even our leaders uses to deceive us. Sometimes they can use people in authority. They can use maybe media houses where somehow we regard them as an authority to some extent. For instance, let's say some government want to use CNN to give us wrong information, but because we know that CNN is an authority on its own, and so sometimes whatever they say, we want to believe them. But that does not mean that whatever comes out from CNN or channels or Arise Television or BBC, they're all true. No, we also have our part to play as an individual. Whatever that comes out from them, we need to sit down and filter it to get what we want, to suit our own person, to suit our society. So it's not everything that comes out from CNN, BBC, channels, or even from the government that we should believe them. Now, evidence has shown to us from indices all over the world, and even our country as in Nigeria, where the government will bring out information and everybody want to believe it. But if you go in depth to analyze those things with different instances of their comment, you want to realize that those things are very false. And so you should be very, very careful with our education, with the internet that we have. When those information are disposed to us, let's filter it and get the one that are okay for us. Because the same information that we have over there can actually distract us and become us less privileged, becomes us so porous, become victims and prey even to our leaders.
Okay,
So
I think
let's make use of that education.
Yes, I think what is clear from your comment here is that there's this saying that if you just go to spend time on what Google has, just pick a subject, not that you keep looking at anything, but take a subject of interest and keep studying what is available on the internet, on Google alone, on that subject. They say in 4 years, you will become a public speaker, an authority that they recognize worldwide. So, in other words, I think that removes the limits that we have about education and can help somebody to march forward with this statement that you made, that the amount of knowledge you have determines the amount of freedom you have. And I've asked our viewers to, send out comment on what they themselves think vis-a-vis the problem we have in the continent. The point you are making there is that we can go on our own and find self-development and develop ourselves to the extent that, we can take anything we want to take in this world. Okay, that is very helpful. And we had some comments. This person said, so true. No good leadership in Africa. I'm sure this person was the first person who made comment today. That should be where you were talking about the kind of leadership we have. And of course, Abdul, who later asked a question, also at some point said, yeah, we are tuned in. Thank you, Mr. Francis. That is Abdul, is from Uganda. He has been one of our speakers on this program, and we're expecting he might speak again as we develop. We also have this comment from Kayode Fadere. I think Kayode is in Lagos or somewhere. Yes, I agree. If we the youth don't act, then we will continue to be objects to be acted upon. I'm sure that's as a reference to some of the comments that you have made. Okay. Right now, I would like to ask you to offer us your final words, your final thoughts on today's conference. And then as soon as you do that, we'll begin the wrap up. Viewers, please remember you are viewing the African Youth Conference 2020 on the team the African leadership question, problems and prospects. We invite you to join the conversation with your comments, with your questions, your like and love to make this discussion to be well expanded so that it will touch many lives. We have on the hot seat today as our speaker, Mr. Nkoro from Nigeria. Okay, Mr. Nkoro, your final words to Africans, to your brothers and sisters in Africa, especially the rising generation, on what they can do to salvage the situation we are in.
Okay. What I would like to say is that start from the little, start from the simple. Okay, you don't have to start from the bigger part of it. Okay, if you start from the simple part of things, you can always get there. I think I'm beginning to fulfill or achieve that my goal. As a growing child, I've always seen myself trying to create that room for people to have sense of belonging, to feel that, oh, there's somebody who cares about them. And the only way we can do that is to advocate, sensitize people of their rights, of what they know to be true. So we shouldn't just limit ourselves to dependent on people. No, we must educate ourselves. We must network with people to know who they are, how they are, and what are their thoughts. By the time you start mingling with different people from different walks of life, it gives you more room to be more educated, to be more enlightened, to know how to relate with people. And that gives us room to become better leaders tomorrow. Okay. Let us not think that when you start a little step, you can never get there. If you have a passion in doing a particular thing, keep on doing that thing. Eventually, that thing you think people do not like, and you're comfortable and passionate about doing that particular thing, you end up realizing that you'll be the particular person they will seek out for to solve the problem, even in our society, even in our continent today. So let's keep on learning. Let's keep on knowing our rights. Let's keep on knowing that we have the power that have been given unto us. We need to act on them. We need not to allow people to act on us, because when they keep on acting on us, I remember they said, it's good, it's good, yeah, it's good for us to be reminded of our right, of what we need to do. But it's actually more better for us to be the one to do the things that we need to do. We shouldn't always wait for people to remind us of what we need to do. No. The only way that can help us act on those things is for us to be proactive, to be the first people, the first person to know what we need to do before giving the room for our leaders to manipulate us. Let's learn. Let's educate ourselves in different capacity we find ourselves. And secondly, also, to not always think that you can only be helped by others. No, you can help yourself. Start from somewhere. When you start from somewhere, people can realize that, okay, you need to help you too. You need to commit yourself. You need not to allow people to be the one to keep on helping you, because they will keep on controlling you. They keep on subjecting you. And there's nothing you can do than to be subject to them. So let's rise up, Africa. Let's rise up the youth. This is a time for the rising generation. And when we stand up, we can get there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This has been a big pleasure for me to host you at this conference. You have said words that are clearly on marble, words that I know will uplift. You do stand by in this conference. After the session on the 30th of December, we will call a special conference of all those who spoke. The intention will be to synthesize everything we have said at this conference, and then produce a document that can help the growth of the rising generations of Africa. So, Mr. Koro, it's a pleasure for me to have you at this conference. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. My pleasure.
Okay. Okay. You have a great day, my friend. Thank you.
Mm.
Okay. This has been our morning session of the conference. That is the African Youth Conference 2020 on the theme African leadership question, problems and prospects. You will agree with me that Mr. Nkoro has expatiated very clearly and deeply on the problem and also the solutions to the problem. And I like very much that part of the solution that had to do with what each person, each one of us will do or need to do to um, change the paradigm, to have a paradigm shift on what is going on, to change the narrative in Africa. We have seen many of you view this. We appreciate your presence. We want to get as much like and love and comments as the number of people that came to view this conference, and that will help make it, develop it, and grow it a lot more. Thank you very much, everyone in Africa and the world. You have a great afternoon. In due course, this session will be uploaded on YouTube, and it's available on my 3 channels: the African Town Hall page on Facebook, my personal profile page, Francis Merrible on Facebook, and Dating and Marriage Question and Answer group on Facebook. This was live on them and will stay in those places. Please feel free to go and download it and view it again. Invite people to view with you and reason together and help as we march forward in the change that we all want to happen in Africa, as we all discuss the problems of leadership in Africa and then find solutions together for them. Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed afternoon. At 8 p.m. Nigerian time, there will be another session, the evening session of this conference, and we have 4 people lined up for that session. So it promises to be a lot of ideas coming out. If we could get so much from Mr. Nkoro today, think about the number of ideas we can get with 4 people lined up for the evening session of the conference. We welcome you to stay tuned. That one will happen at 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 10 p.m. East African time, 9 p.m. South African time, and 7 p.m. for the rest of West Africa after Nigeria and Togo. Thank you. After Nigeria and Benin Republic. Thank you very much, Africa, for being here. We invite you to continue to be around and learn as much as you can and contribute your own thoughts, your mind, your thinking to the change that we desire in Africa. This is produced for you by the African Town Hall Online Television, which is a company that is connected to Town Hall Communication Company Limited. Thank you very much for all you do. And we are grateful to our sponsors and all of you for coming to this session. Have a great afternoon. See you in the evening today at 8 p.m. Nigerian time.